to the Mintner method. On this episode today, we are going to have a subscriber suggestion and we're going to cover Army versus East Carolina. Now, as you know, we have covered Army this will be the fourth straight week, I believe. We covered them against Rice. This will be the fifth straight week, actually, that we have covered this team. And so, to try to keep it as short and sweet as possible, it's pretty basic. We're capping the defense against Army, and if they can defend the run, and if they are elite against that, and then if the offense is able to, put some pressure on Army in general. So as you know, Army on early downs, first and second down, they're rushing the ball almost 90% of the time. And they're the best in all of college football out of 134 teams in rush EPA and in pass EPA, but that's not really part of the cap. We're not going to dive into that much, right? So that makes them first overall in EPA on early downs offensively. Now, when we look at East Carolina, they're not elite on early downs, but they are formidable. 33rd is not a scab offense by any means, right? And so when we come up to scab defense, when we come up to their offense, they're not really good offensively on early downs, and that is, always going to be problematic when playing an academy team, simply because you're trying to, keep that defense and make them tired, in general. You have to make Army uncomfortable. They have to play in a game script that's not comfortable, right? And so we're going to look at the advanced stats here to kind of get a better barometer, right? So, per usual, Army is just amazing in the rushing categories. Stuff rate, offensive line yards, front seven havoc, rushing efficiency, all that jazz, right? This East Carolina team is arguably the best front seven that Army has faced this year. And when I look at, their third in stuff rate, they're fifth in defensive line yards, they're 25th in overall havoc, 13th in front seven havoc, 14th in rushing efficiency, 47th in rushing explosiveness allowed. This is a defense that could really, stymie, Army in some areas. Now, I'm not saying they could dominate and turn this game upside down, because that's not what I believe, right? But we have to look at this through the lens of a couple of things. Army is 16.5-point favorites right now. So they're going to have to win by 3 scores or more. And, obviously if you're like a box score watcher, you're like, oh, well, they're dominating everybody. That's nothing, Yeah, but, you have to also be realistic at what we're looking at here, okay? So when we go to the East Carolina side on offense, again, they're not great offensively, okay? They're not great efficiency, not great explosiveness, pretty much across the board they are struggling offensively, okay? So when we look at Army and their schedule, this is easily the best defense they've faced. And I can say that with full confidence. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. This is the best front seven that they will have faced. Now, the important thing is, is East Carolina going to be able to at least move the ball to make this game, flip the script, a little bit and make it a little more uncomfortable for Army? Because in general, we're looking to see if they can cover the spread here, right? And so when I'm looking at, these games that they've played, they play Liberty to an 11-point loss. UTSA, they won. Charlotte, they got dominated in a high-scoring affair. But it seems like the offense is okay, okay enough, right? These turnovers, just abysmal, though. 12 interceptions. That type of, carelessness with the ball you cannot have against an academy team, because they just take advantage of those things so well, right? And so the thing here is, they're going to have to play not a perfect game to cover this number, but they have to play better than what they've played before, right? So let's take a look at the overall rushing defense for this team. Okay, so they faced some heavy rush attacks, right? And they've held up okay. Liberty is really good at running the ball. Jamie Chadwell has that. Caden Salter, they are very, very efficient at running it. They did get gashed by Charlotte last week, and that gives me a little concern simply for the fact that Charlotte is not some, powerhouse run attack, right? And that kind of gives me a little pause. So I want to dive a little further into that just so I can see where that came from. Okay, so they have like a quarter running back by committee type. So look at some game logs. Yeah, so big plays, huge playability here. And that's where it looks like Charlotte took advantage, right? So let's look at their advanced stats and see if Charlotte, if that kind of comes up in their... Yeah, so you see it right here. They're 8th overall in rushing explosiveness. Now, East Carolina, being 47th in allowing rushing explosiveness, that's not elite level, but when you're going up against a team that is super explosive, like Charlotte is, for whatever you think, that's going to be something that really that stands out to me, right? So when I look over here to Army, yeah, they're 41st in rushing explosiveness. I don't know if that's going to be the type of game that is going to give East Carolina some problems, right? So this is a very, I would say, bold or spicy take. But I really think East Carolina in this matchup can hold their own, and the number is high, right, in my opinion. I had this conversation with my buddy last week when they laid out the UAB line, and it just kept climbing. The thing is, though, like, at some point we have to, understand that the line is inflated based off the public perception, right? Now, I'm not saying the line should be like 10 or anything like that, but I think 16.5 or 17 is too high. East Carolina has proven that from an advanced metric standpoint, they could probably hang in this type of game environment. Now, the offense, on the other hand, will have to score and keep the foot to the pedal, but if this is played inside a phone booth and they keep it competitive, they can very well cover that number. Now, this is probably on the lower tier of the games I like for a play, but if I was leaning, I would take East Carolina in the points, and I think that this game will be telling when it comes to a lot of different things. Okay, so and let's make sure we're not missing anything else here. They do have the 2 weeks to prepare for Army, which, that does make a difference. Army is coming off just a regular week. So 2 weeks to prepare. You have a look-ahead spot here also. Air Force is on the schedule coming up. So you do have that in its crosshairs, right? So for me, I am going to be leaning towards East Carolina in the points. I think it's just a little too many. I think they match up well enough to cover that many points, and that they can have enough success on offense to keep the game somewhat competitive. All right, so that's going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed the content, please like, subscribe, share with your friends, comment on the video. If you have any suggestions for next week or anything like that, I'd be more than happy to cover them. I should have a more open schedule next week. My entire family was pretty much sick, so it was I wasn't able to do as much as I want, and that's totally fine. That's just how life is sometimes. But other than that, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.